Hello students, I am teacher Svetlana and in our today's lecture we will learn about histology, which means the study of tissues. We have different types of animal tissues. Today we will be seeing one of its kind, which is the epithelial tissue, which is covered in the chapter Animal Tissues. So let's begin. Histology. Students, as we know that tissue is a group of cells having same embryonic origin, structure and functions, and hence various tissues combine together in an orderly manner to form large functional units called as organs. These organs combine together to form organ systems. These cells are of two types, somatic cell and germ cells. The word somatic is derived from the Greek word soma, means body. All body cells of an organism except the sperm and the ova are somatic cells. The sperm and the ova are germ cells. They belong to the reproductive system. So we have an hierarchy where we have cells forming the tissues forming organs forming the organ system, and together they form the body of an organism. Hence, the study of the structure and arrangement of tissues is called as histology. There are four types of tissues present in the animals, namely epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissues. Here are the images of these four types of tissues. This here is an image of the epithelial tissue. Today we will see the epithelial tissue in detail. Now students, let us try and understand what is epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue forms a covering on the inner and the outer surface of the body and the organs. So the first lining which is present on your body surfaces and the organs is made up of epithelial tissue. The cells of this tissues are compactly arranged with little intercellular matrix. Cells rest on non-cellular basement membrane. Cells are polygonal, cuboidal or columnar in shape. Have a look at this image here. This squamous epithelium cells look polygonal in shape. Then we have the cuboidal shape, which is cube shape basically, and columnar is a column shaped structure. Single nucleus is present at the center or at the base. So either it is in the center, the nucleus, or it is present at the base of the cells. This tissue is avascular. It has good capacity of regeneration. Avascular means there is no blood supply to these tissues. Good capacity of regeneration is they can multiply and divide very well. Major functions of this tissue is the protection, and it also helps in absorption, transport, filtration and secretions. Epithelial tissue is classified into two types. We have simple epithelium and we have compound epithelium. Have a look at this image here. This is showing you all the simple epitheliums, and this is showing you the compound. Stratified is one of the types of your compound epithelium. Simple epithelium is made up of single layer of cells. So this is the difference between the simple and the compound epithelium. That is, a simple is made up of single layer of cells and the compound epithelium is made up of two or more layer of cells. And in the compound epithelium, only the lowermost layer lies on the basement membrane. Have a look at this image here. This is a simple epithelium. It's a type of which is called as the squamous epithelium, where you can see this is the basement membrane over which a single layer of cell is present. In this case, where it is cuboidal, single basement membrane and a single layer of cells is present. Same is repeated with this kind of simple columnar epithelium, where you have a basement membrane and only a single layer of cells is present over it. Whereas when we come to the compound epithelium, you can see that you have the basement membrane, you have a layer of cells over which you have multiple layer of cells. Only the first layer of cells is in contact with the basement membrane. So this is a simple epithelium and this is a compound epithelium. Now let us see the different types of simple epithelial tissues and try to understand their location and their functions. The first type is the squamous epithelial tissue. This image here is of the squamous epithelium. Cells of this tissues you can see are flat, thin, polygonal in nature. The cells of this tissue fit together like tiles on the footpath. Hence, they are also called as pavement epithelium. We have prominent spherical or oval nucleus which is present at the center of the cells. Here, have a look at this image. You can see the prominent nucleus. Function, they are involved with the functions of protection, absorption, transport, filtration, secretions. They are found in blood vessels, alveoli, colon, etc. Next, we have the cuboidal epithelial tissues. In this tissues, the cells are cuboidal in shape. They have a spherical nucleus at the center. Now, the function is absorption, secretions. They are found in the lining of your pancreatic duct, salivary duct, proximal and distal convoluted tubules. So, they play a very important role in the process of excretion and osmoregulation. Osmoregulation is maintaining the water balance of the body. Then next up, we have our columnar epithelium. Have a look at this image here. The columnar epithelial cells are tall and pillar-like. The inner ends of the cells are narrow. Here you can see this. The inner ends are narrow while the free ends are broad and flattened. The free surface show large number of microvilli. These are the microvilli. Nucleus is oval in shape and it is present in the lower half of the cell. Now, what are the functions of these types of cells? They are involved in secretion, absorption. They are found in the inner lining of the intestine, gallbladder, gastric glands, and intestinal glands. Further, we have ciliated epithelium. This is a ciliated epithelium. If you look at it, the structure is quite similar to your columnar epithelium. You can see that the free ends are broad while the narrow ends which rest on the basement membrane. Now these free ends show hair-like structures which is called as cilia. So it replaces the microvilli and cilia, which is a hair-like structure, is present. Now what is the function? They create movement of the materials in contact in a specific direction, and thus they are able to prevent entry of foreign particles in our trachea. Then they push the ovum through the oviduct. It is also found in the inner linings of our buccal cavity of the frog, the nasal cavity, tracheates, oviducts of all vertebrates. Next is the glandular epithelium. Here, the cells may be columnar, cuboidal, or pyramidal in shape. The secretory granules are present in the cytoplasm. The gland may be unicellular, as in this case, and the cell is called as the goblet cell of the intestine, or it is multicellular, that is your salivary glands. Now, depending on the number of cells, depending on the mode of secretion, multicellular glands can be classified as duct-bearing glands, which are called as exocrine glands. Duct-bearing means it's similar to a piping which transports the secretions to different body parts. And we have another type which are called as ductless glands, which is also called as endocrine glands. That is, these glands, they directly release their secretions into the bloodstream. This here is your goblet cell of your glandular epithelium. It is secreting mucus. As I explained, the exocrine gland pours their secretion at a specific site. So, example, we have salivary glands, sweat glands, etc. And the endocrine glands, they release their secretions directly into the bloodstreams. Which are these glands? We have examples: thyroid glands, pituitary glands, etc. And what are the functions? They secrete the mucus that traps the dust particle. They lubricate the inner surfaces of our respiratory and the digestive tract. They also help in secretions of enzymes and hormones. Next, we have the sensory epithelium. Now, this sensory epithelium is composed of modified forms of columnar cells, and they have these elongated neurosensory cells. Sensory hairs are present at the free end of the cell. So, here at the free end, we have these sensory cells that are present. What is the function? It perceives external as well as internal stimuli. These are found in the nose, that is the olfactory area, then in your ears, that is the auditory hair cells, and in the eyes, which is the photoreceptors. Finally, we have the germinal epithelial tissues. Cells of this epithelium divide meiotically to produce haploid gametes. Now, previously the cells that we have seen of the different types of the simple epithelium all are part of your somatic cells and they all divide mitotically, but these cells here divide meiotically. So where are these cells present? In the lining of the semiferous tubules, then the inner lining of the ovary. Have a look at this image here. This is the testis where the sperms are produced. This is the ovary where the ovum is produced. Now let us have a look at the compound epithelium. We have two types, that is the stratified epithelium and transitional epithelium. The stratified epithelium, the nucleus is present in the stratum germinatum. So the nucleus is present only in the last layer of cells, which is called as stratum germinatum. Cells are at the free surface become flattened and they lack nucleus called as stratum corneum. So these cells start becoming flattened. Now what is their function? They are major role is protection. Example, epidermis of the skin, esophagus, cornea, vagina, rectum. Then we have transitional epithelium here. Have a look at this image here. It resembles the stratified squamous and the stratified cuboidal epitheliums in shape. They are similar. These cells can undergo a change in their shape and structure depending on the degree of the stretch. Example, detentions of the organs. So this is their function. For example, we have urinary bladder. So they can undergo a change in their shape, that is they can expand, they can contract depending on the requirement or the role that they are playing. See here in this image, you can see there is a basement membrane, then there is layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. So there are multiple layers that are present in the compound epithelium. Only the first layer is in contact with the basement membrane. Then we need to understand something called as cell junctions. The epithelial cells are connected to each other laterally as well as to the basement membrane by junctional complexes, which are called as cell junctions. Cell junctions are the structures where long-term association between the neighboring cells are established. We have three common types of these cell junctions, which is the tight junction, adhesive or anchorage junction, and gap communication junction. In our adhesive junctions, we have the desmos, hemidesmos, and adherent junctions. Now, although adhesive junction types are similar in structure and function, they contain distinct intracellular attachment proteins and transmembrane linker proteins. Have a look at this image here. It will show you the different types of junctions. Here you have the tight junction, here you have the desmos type of junction, and here you have the gap junction. In tight junction, you can see here you have the interlocking junctional proteins, and in between you will see the intracellular space. In desmos, the anchorage junctions, they bind to the adjacent molecules. Can you see here? They are tightly bound to one another, which are holding the two cells together. Then we have gap junctions, which is communicating junctions. Can you see here? This is your gap junction, which forms a channel between the two cells. This is basically used for intracellular communication, that is to transport the substances from one cell to another cell. Then we have in the adhesion junction one more type, which is our hemidesmos junctions. Here you can see this is the basement membrane and this is the cell which is tightly attached to its basement membrane. Now this type of attachment is used for maintaining equilibrium, maintaining the stability of the cells. So they help in maintaining tissue homeostasis by signaling. This desmos junction here, it provides mechanical strength to the epithelial tissues, the cardiac muscles, and the meninges. So this is how these cells get attached to one another as well as to the basement membrane to form your tissues. Thank you students for participating in this lecture. See you soon again with the next topic. Till then, take care, be safe and keep learning.